Welcome to the lecture of Computer Integrated Manufacturing in Automobile Industry. I am Milan Trivedi, Assistant Professor at LJIET Institute of Engineering and Technology. Today we are going to discuss about chapter number 2, NC and CNC machine tools. In this particular chapter we had already discussed a lot about the NC machine. Now we are shifting to the next topic, that is the CNC machine tools. Particularly, it is differing from the NC machine only in one respect, that it is having its own memory and a proper computer interface in which the entire process is visible, right? NC machine is totally obsolete. You won't find anywhere that kind of NC machine. So let us understand the CNC machine. In the CNC machine, the major thing is a microprocessor, right? Or we call it as a mini computer. It is a computer in which we are having these two memories, RAM and ROM, in which the data can be stored. We are also having input and output devices, right, with the help of which this keyboard you can feed the program to the computer, and the computer is actually showing the data which you are feeding on a monitor, right? So we are having these two input and output devices, and this makes particular NC machine into a CNC category, because in the NC machine the biggest drawback was that the program was written on a particular tape and we cannot see what actually is written in that particular tape. We cannot even modify that particular tape once it has been actually developed, right? While in the case of CNC machine, if you find that there is some error in our program, in our monitor, then you can make certain changes. You can edit the program in between, you can make any of the change in between. Apart from that, as it is having its own memory, you does not actually need to write the program again and again. If the same object is required to be processed, we can store the program of that particular object. What we actually need to do when to start the machine is just we need to press the start button. So the program would already available with us, that program would be executed, right? So these are the some of the advantages which is associated with the CNC machine. And because of that, the NC machine is obsolete. You won't find that NC machine nowadays, right? But in all of the CNC machine we are having a feedback unit. I hope the concept of feedback is clear. Feedback unit is actually attached to the different kinds of drives, because the ultimate aim of the CNC machine is to operate the drives, whether it is a speed drive, spindle speed drive, feed drive, or depth of cut drive, right? This data to the drive is given by the particular program, right? But the drives are actually operating as per the instruction which is written in the program is actually given by the feedback unit. We are having certain measuring devices which will record the measurement, and it will give back to the particular microprocessor, and it can be visible on our computer screen, right? So we are having this two-way interface. You are giving input to the particular machine tool, that data will be visible, as well as how the machine tool is actually performing, that feedback you are getting, and that is also visible in the computer screen. And if there is some mismatch in between, we can easily modify the particular program in between with the help of this kind of keyboard, right? So we are having a machine tool. This machine tool can be any machine tool. It can be a lathe machine, it can be milling, drilling, or any welding machine. Any of the machine can be operated with the help of computer numerical control machine, right? But the additional thing we actually require is a microprocessor, RAM, ROM, input output device, and a feedback unit. This all together constitute to make the particular CNC machine. Now let us understand the classification of the CNC machine. As you see the classification, it is somewhat similar to the particular NC machine, right? Only change is from the third classification. First, according to feedback, it is common, open loop and closed loop. The same interface would be there in the case of CNC machine. We had already covered this part of open loop and closed loop. Now second classification, that is according to the type of tool motion. We are having two broad categories, that is finite and continuous. In finite we are having point to point and straight cut, whereas in continuous we are having 2 axis, 2.5 axis, 3 axis, and the multi axis. This all the subcategories are also even discussed in the case of NC machine. The third classification is according to the programming method, that is absolute and the incremental mode. That is also been discussed in the NC machine, so I am not repeating that three categories in detail, right? The fourth category is according to the type of controller. In the case of NC machine, we are having NC and CNC controller, but as CNC is a different category, we are having this kind of controller. It can be a hybrid and straight. So this is a new term. We will discuss that in our next presentation or next slide. The last classification is according to the axis and the type of operation. We are having CNC horizontal. The spindle axis has been considered most of the time. If it is horizontal position, then it is considered as CNC horizontal. If it is in vertical condition, it is considered as a vertical. And all the normal lathes are being identified as a CNC turning, right? Because we are turning the object and or we are doing the turning operation in that. And last, CNC milling machine is also called as a CNC milling. So this is the way of classification. Still I will try to elaborate this fourth category, that is according to the type of controller. Now as per the type of controller, we are having this two category, that is hybrid and straight controller. In the case, you can easily say that in the case of hybrid, we are having this one more unit, that is a hardwired logic circuits, whereas in the straight part you won't find that application. So what this hardwired logic circuit actually do is, they are actually keeping certain kind of data with them. This is a kind of circuit itself which is storing some data, such as data of interpolation or the data of tool compensation. What is that tool compensation and all, we will learn in our later lecture series, but right now just we need to remember that it is having one more unit, that is hardwired logic circuits, right? Now let us discuss about the different advantages of using CNC machine. The first thing, compared to the NC machine, the programming input method is very easy. With the help of keyboard we can insert the program, then it can store the program, multiple program we can store very easily, no need to write the program again and again. Then online part programming and editing we can do, right? Where it is connected to the particular internet, we can directly have the input of part program which is already written for that particular part. We can edit that thing very easily in between. The structure to write the particular part program is very similar to the notepad which we are using in the Windows, right? It is that much easy. The fourth advantage is use of short programs. We can use even some short program, and as per that short program, a large operation can also be executed. That also we will learn in our later part. Then the greater flexibility of the system, it can change very easily. Use of advanced interpolations, right? If two data you are given, the data of center variable can also be find out. Automatic tool compensation, this we will elaborate in our later part. Auto generation of part programming for the existing part, change in the system of units. These are the normal advantages of the CNC machine. Now coming to the disadvantages of CNC machine, the first disadvantage is the higher investment cost, right? As the setup cost is very high, but yes, once the break-even point has been achieved in the case of CNC machine, the profitability to the particular company is very high. The second disadvantage is the higher maintenance cost, right? Now normal lathe machine, we just need to have a proper lubrication and greasing, right? But in the case of CNC machine, there are a lot many of things need to look for, right? The third disadvantage is the requirement of the specialized operators, because the person who is operating that CNC machine must be well versed with the programming method, how to write the program, that skill must be there. The last thing, that is a plant support facility, right? We need to plan properly so to have better operation in the CNC machine, right? That's all about the CNC machine in our today's lecture. Thanks for watching.